We usually imagine that high intelligence is a simple, straightforward advantage. We see it as a tool that makes life easier, the image of a student who breezes through every test, a human calculator who navigates the world without ever breaking a sweat. But the reality of a gifted mind has very little to do with test scores. It's about the depth and the intensity at which a person experiences every single moment of their life. It is like operating on a frequency that most people simply aren't tuned to. The nervous system is more responsive, more open to the world, and far more reactive to everything it touches. This makes life remarkably complex. A casual observation becomes a chain of questions that won't stop growing. The ordinary experiences that others walk right past are for a gifted person saturated with meaning and weight. Because we label this as a gift, we assume these children are already equipped for success. In reality, they're often left completely alone to navigate a psychological world that feels entirely out of phase with everyone around them. A psychologist named Kazimierz Dabrowski discovered that this isn't just a personality trait. It is a biological heightened responsiveness that flows through 5 specific channels. The first is a physical channel. It feels like an internal engine that never quite idles. It creates a massive amount of mental energy that has to go somewhere, often coming out as a restless need to move or speak. The second is a sensory channel. Colors are more vivid, textures and sounds are more distinct. While this can lead to incredible joy, it also means a normal environment can quickly become a source of physical overwhelm. The third is the imaginational channel. This isn't just a hobby, it's an involuntary inner world. A mind is constantly building complex associations and vivid fantasies, whether the person wants it to or not. The fourth is the intellectual channel, a relentless hunger to understand. It's the drive to follow a question past the good enough answer all the way to its logical conclusion. And the fifth is the emotional channel. It is the ability to feel empathy, joy, and the sting of injustice with a total, unbuffered intensity. These 5 intensities are often mistaken for fragility, but Dabrowski saw them as the raw material for a deeper kind of human development, even if they make fitting into an average world feel impossible. That impossibility creates a constant friction. Gifted people often find themselves in classrooms or offices where the pace is too slow and the conversations stay too shallow, leaving their minds with nothing to grip onto. To survive socially, they learn to hide. They dim their curiosity and quiet their intensity to match the room. They perform a version of themselves that is easier for others to handle, a process called masking. Constantly performing this diminished version of yourself is exhausting. It leads to a specific kind of mental depletion that comes from being chronically under-challenged, a state where you stop trying because you've learned that effort doesn't lead to anything meaningful. For many, this is where a dangerous kind of perfectionism starts. If your whole identity is built on being the smart one, then making a mistake feels like you're losing your right to exist. You don't work hard to be the best. You work hard because you're terrified of failing. This creates a deep sense of being a fraud. Because you can see your own thoughts in high definition, you're painfully aware of every flaw. You assume that if people actually saw how your mind worked, they would realize you aren't nearly as capable as they think. The tragedy of the mask is that it works. It keeps you safe from judgment, but it also separates you from your own nature. Over time, you might even forget who was there before the performance began. This often leads to a heavy, early questioning of life itself. Gifted children can perceive the reality of mortality or the unfairness of the world long before they have the emotional tools to handle that knowledge. For genuine growth to finally happen, the rigid social structures you carefully built just to fit in usually have to break apart completely. This breaking point often feels like a crisis or a failure, but it is actually a necessary dismantling. Your old, limited self is falling away so that a more authentic, deeper version of you can finally emerge. The discomfort of never fitting in wasn't a mistake. It was the process of preparing you to seek out a life that actually has enough depth to sustain you. Coming home to yourself starts with permission. You have to stop apologizing for the depth of your feelings and the persistence of your questions.
You need to understand that your intensity is a feature of how you were built, not a flaw to be fixed. Study after study shows that the most important factor in a gifted person's well-being is finding their intellectual company. These are the people who speak your language and move at your speed. Finding that connection brings a visceral sense of relief. For the first time, you don't have to translate your thoughts or slow down your pulse just to be understood. The goal is to become more fully what you already are. Your intensity is a profound and vital resource. Once you stop trying to shrink into rooms that are too small for you, you can finally begin to use that depth to engage with the world on your own terms.